In a move that stunned the nation, the Supreme Court delivered a unanimous 9-0 ruling, striking down a federal law that barred habitual users of illegal drugs from owning firearms. This decision marks a seismic shift in gun rights jurisprudence, redefining the boundaries of the Second Amendment. For decades it was a federal crime for anyone using controlled substances, even if not under the influence, to possess a gun. That's no longer the case. The real shock wasn't just the outcome, but the complete agreement among all 9 justices, liberal and conservative alike. In an era of deep division, this rare unity sends a powerful message. The court's interpretation of the Second Amendment is rooted in shared, historical principles, not politics. The ruling will have sweeping consequences for millions of Americans and the future of gun control legislation. It forces a national conversation about the balance between public safety and individual rights. The law had been a key tool for federal prosecutors to keep guns from those deemed potentially dangerous. Now, the legal landscape is fundamentally changed. The decision raises profound questions. What does it mean to be a law-abiding citizen under the Second Amendment? How do state-level marijuana laws square with federal prohibitions? Communities and lawmakers must now grapple with these issues. Tonight we break down what this ruling means for you. We'll explore the journey of the case, the arguments that shaped the court's thinking, and the potential impact on gun ownership and drug policy. This is a story at the intersection of personal freedom and public safety. The Supreme Court has spoken with one voice. Now, the nation must understand and implement this profound declaration on the right to keep and bear arms. Every landmark Supreme Court case starts with an individual. This one began in Texas with Ali Daniel Hemeny. Hemeny was charged under a federal law making it illegal for habitual marijuana users to possess firearms. When agents found a Glock in his possession, there was no evidence he was intoxicated, just that he used marijuana regularly. The prosecution's case wasn't about using a gun while high, but about his status as a drug user who owned a gun. Hemeny's lawyers challenged the constitutionality of the law, arguing the Second Amendment protects the right to own a gun for self-defense, regardless of marijuana use. The case highlighted a growing conflict. Federal law still classifies marijuana as a Schedule I drug, while many states have legalized it. This creates a confusing legal environment. Someone can follow state law but still commit a federal felony by owning a gun. Hemeny's case brought this contradiction to the national stage. As the case moved through the courts, it became a test of federal power to regulate firearms based on personal behavior, even when there's no direct harm. Gun rights groups saw it as a crucial battle to prevent the government from denying constitutional rights to entire classes of citizens. Gun control advocates warned that weakening the law could have dangerous consequences. The stage was set for a constitutional showdown. The Supreme Court agreed to provide the final answer. This wasn't just about one man and his gun anymore. It was about the rights of millions caught between conflicting state and federal laws. The outcome would reshape the national legal landscape. The government argued that mixing illegal drug use and firearms creates a dangerous situation for society. They claimed habitual drug users are more likely to act impulsively or become involved in violent crime. Citing historical laws that disarmed untrustworthy groups, the Justice Department insisted Congress has the authority to keep guns from drug users. The ban was a key tool for law enforcement, blocking thousands of gun sales and leading to hundreds of prosecutions each year. The government warned that striking down the law would remove a critical safeguard. Their core message, the right to bear arms, isn't absolute, and public safety demands limits. Hemeny's legal team countered that the right to own a gun for self-defense is fundamental and shouldn't be stripped away for personal lifestyle choices. They argued that simply using marijuana doesn't make someone dangerous, and there's no historical tradition of disarming people for substance use alone. The defense pointed out that millions of Americans use marijuana and own guns. Making them felons under the old law was overly broad and unjust. They emphasized that restrictions should target conduct, not status. Using a gun while impaired should be illegal, but mere ownership shouldn't. Hemeny wasn't accused of being intoxicated with his gun, just of being a marijuana user who owned one. The defense urged the court to protect constitutional rights from sweeping government overreach. The case became a fight for the rights of millions, not just one man. The Supreme Court was asked to draw the line. Before reaching the Supreme Court, the case was heard by the conservative Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. The Fifth Circuit sided with Himani, declaring the federal ban on gun possession by habitual drug users unconstitutional in most cases. Their reasoning relied on a 2022 Supreme Court decision, Bruin, which requires gun laws to align with historical tradition. The court found no historical precedent for disarming people simply for substance use. The ruling drew a line: restrictions are valid for those currently impaired, not for past or habitual use without evidence of danger. This created a split among federal courts, prompting the Supreme Court to step in. The government appealed, warning the decision would hamper efforts to prevent gun violence. The stage was set for a definitive ruling. The Supreme Court's unanimous opinion affirmed the Fifth Circuit's reasoning. The justices agreed the federal law was unconstitutional, failing the historical test set by Bruin. Justice Clarence Thomas wrote that while some early laws regulated firearms, none imposed a sweeping ban on all habitual users of a substance. The court distinguished between regulating dangerous conduct, like carrying a gun while intoxicated, and banning ownership based on status. There was no historical precedent for disarming citizens solely for substance use, absent evidence of dangerousness. The decision emphasized that constitutional rights can't be stripped from large groups without strong historical support. The court's unity showed the Second Amendment's scope is a matter of history, not politics. The message restrictions must align with the understanding of rights at the nation's founding. The Supreme Court's decision has immediate consequences for millions, especially those who use marijuana legally under state law. Before, they risked federal felony charges for owning a gun. Now that threat is gone. Law enforcement loses a key tool. Prosecutors must now focus on direct links between firearms and criminal activity. The ruling also impacts high-profile cases, like Hunter Biden's, highlighting the law's broad reach. Beyond marijuana users, the decision sets a precedent. Gun rights can't be denied based on status alone. Restrictions must be narrowly tailored and based on evidence of a direct threat. The bar for limiting gun ownership is now much higher. The legal landscape for gun rights and drug policy has fundamentally changed. The government must focus on individual conduct, not broad categories. The rules for gun ownership have been clarified for all Americans. This unanimous decision marks a new chapter in the American gun rights debate. The court left room for regulations, like bans on guns for violent felons or those intoxicated, but set history and tradition as the standard for all gun laws. Expect new legal challenges to other gun restrictions lacking historical precedent. Lawmakers will need to justify new laws with evidence from the nation's founding era. The ruling also intensifies the conflict between federal and state drug laws, increasing pressure for federal marijuana reform. The gun rights and drug policy debates are now more intertwined than ever. The court's message: constitutional rights aren't easily taken away based on shifting fears. The landscape of gun rights in America has been decisively reshaped.